He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there. Why would a religious man like himself be at a party which ain't nothing but sin that's going on, bro?
TD Jakes and Diddy freak off party.
This is the end of the Diddy story as we know it. Everyone is talking about it right now. The shocking arrest of Sean Diddy Combs and the unbelievable fallout that's dragging some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry along with him. But there's one name in particular that's left everyone in disbelief: Kid Jakes. Yes, the same Did Jakes that we all know from Potter House Church. A widely recognized preacher and truth seeker. The same Did Jakes who has developed an image as a clean, respectable, even fatherly figure in the religious world. But beneath that polished exterior, it appears there may be a far darker side. Clearly, there is a criminal investigation happening, and that they think that there would be evidence of crimes at one or both of these residences. The stunning news landed like a ton of bricks when Diddy was arrested in Manhattan. Federal investigators pulled him in on allegations that seem like they're right out of a crime movie.
Clearly, there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
Racketeering, conspiracy, human exploitation, and more.
Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
What was most startling to you of all these allegations? Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment offered evidence indicating that Sean Combs was conducting a criminal operation. This was tremendous. Diddy's business empire has covered music, fashion, television, and nightlife for decades. But the arrest has punched a hole in the image of the music mogul everyone thought they knew. As additional information revealed, rumors began to circulate. A lot of people started to question how many others may be engaged in this catastrophe. And then, bang, the rumors swept the internet like wildfire. T. Jakes, the respected preacher and speaker, had departed the nation the very same day Diddy was hauled into detention. Coincidence?
I've had clients describe MDC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
The fact that Did Jakes departed the US as soon as Diddy was sent behind bars has created an avalanche of suspicion. As the days go by, more and more people tend to believe so. It's no secret that Did Jakes has attended many of Diddy's iconic parties over the years. Those opulent, star-studded affairs that appear to be the ultimate measure of success in the entertainment industry. But as we've since come to realize, those gatherings weren't just about the flash and glamour. There were more darker things going behind the scenes, and Jake's relationship to them is raising some serious suspicions.
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
Let's backtrack a little and speak about these famous parties Diddy used to host. To the outside world, they appeared like the place to be. Celebrities for music, film, sports, and politics rubbing shoulders, all while Diddy solidified his status as the ultimate host. But as time went on, more and more rumors appeared about what truly happened at those events. Rumors that pointed at some highly problematic behaviors. The subsequent charges and arrests show that they weren't just innocent social gatherings. If you listen to the folks currently coming out, Diddy's parties were much more than that. They were apparently a fertile environment for all kinds of illicit operations. And it's not only Diddy who's under the scrutiny. Every high-profile person that attended, including to Jakes, is now being looked at with suspicion. Repeat with very, very serious and lurid charges, including allegations that Combs had cameras around his house. It's been stated that TD Jakes wasn't simply a casual visitor at these events either. Rumor has it that he was a frequent presence at some of the craziest evenings in Diddy's inner circle. This is when things become very fascinating. Sources close to the inquiry are saying that the FBI has witnesses who claim to have observed Jakes take part in some pretty unpleasant behavior. These aren't simply folks tossing out unfounded charges. These are folks who purportedly attended the same events and observed Jakes becoming engaged in actions that are not only humiliating, but perhaps unlawful.
Either Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
Now here is when the tale truly begins to peel back the layers of Jakes' public image. For years, he presented himself as the ultimate family man, a devoted husband and father, someone who could give advice to millions on how to live a respectable life. His best-selling book, What If It Was All a Front? What if behind the scenes TD Jakes was leading a parallel life, frequenting activities that were everything but wholesome? All right, I need to take some time to handle this here. Of course, Jakes has built an empire on his charm, humor, and larger-than-life attitude. He's been the face of innumerable speeches, and he's generally appreciated for his no-nonsense attitude to life. But this new revelation might alter everything. The thought that Jakes may have been engaged in, or at least seen, the extremely unpleasant actions reportedly occurring at Diddy's parties is almost too much for anyone to grasp their brains around. Could the guy who's been doling out life advice for decades be concealing something this dark?
Alleged evidence that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles, and the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
Parted the nation just as Diddy was being arrested has everybody buzzing. Why would he escape if he had nothing to hide? It's one thing to go on a casual trip, but to depart the US the minute a close colleague gets brought down in a big scandal. That's not something most individuals would do unless they had a very strong reason to. And for Jakes, that motive can be fear. That motive may be concern that the police are closing in on him next. Now, so what is next?
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
What's even more alarming is that it's not simply Jakes' presence at these gatherings that's being investigated. There are murmurs, reportedly from trustworthy people close to the inquiry. According to these sources, the FBI has been accumulating information for years, and they've questioned many witnesses who allegedly engaged in some of the most horrific and criminal behaviors that went place during these parties.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest the guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
For now, Jakes has been tight-lipped about all of this. He's not released any public remark, and his representatives have been curiously silent. But behind the scenes, you can bet his legal staff is working hard to find out how to manage the storm. The fact that Jakes departed the country implies he realizes there's a serious risk that he may be embroiled in this controversy. After all, if he actually had nothing to fear about, why wouldn't he simply remain put and defend himself? We all saw it posted yesterday all over our social media platforms.
We all saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
What makes this even more startling is the glaring contrast between Jakes' pristine, clean public image and the charges presently swirling around him. This is a guy who has built his brand on being personable, trustworthy, and full of down-to-earth insight. He's the last guy anybody would anticipate to get caught up in anything like this. But the more we discover about what allegedly went on during Diddy's parties, the more it looks like anybody who was routinely in attendance might be complicit.
That he controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
And let's not forget, Jake's strong friendship with Diddy simply adds fuel to the flames. Over the years, the two have been spotted together at several occasions, and there's been no lack of public affection between them. Jakes has even lauded Diddy's business mentality and hailed him as an influence. But now with Diddy behind prison and facing severe accusations, that connection is suddenly looking a lot more questionable. And in this complaint, he says that effectively P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap. The actual question on everyone's mind is this: what does Jakes have to hide? Is it conceivable that he was only a visitor at these events, had no clue what was actually going on? Or, as the reports imply, was he a willing participant in the acts that have now led to Diddy's downfall? The truth is still up in the air, but as more facts surface, it's getting harder and harder to give Jakes the benefit of the doubt. The fact that the FBI has apparently been examining Diddy's network for years implies that they're not just looking at him, they're looking at everyone who's ever been intimately affiliated with him. And Jakes, with his lifelong association and countless public appearances with Diddy, is clearly in the limelight. If these reports are accurate, Jakes might be facing much more than simply a PR disaster. He might be facing criminal charges that would demolish all he's achieved over the previous several decades.
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap.
And I remember, like, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but like, I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside.
As the inquiry proceeds, one thing is obvious. The truth regarding to Jake's participation in this incident is likely to come out someday. Whether he's guilty of any crime, the fact that his name is being bandied about in conjunction with such severe claims is a hit to his image. The more he keeps quiet, the more people will begin to question what he's actually concealing. The thing is, it looks as like he wants to sort of like impose control and domination over individuals that don't really want it. So with Jake's name circling in the speculations and accusations, it's evident this isn't simply a one-off controversy involving Diddy alone. In reality, it's a far broader network of high-profile figures who are now racing to disassociate themselves from what's developing into one of the most dramatic falls from grace in Hollywood history.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
Jakes may be one of the most talked about names, but he's absolutely not alone. In fact, speculations say that numerous other celebrities who were regulars at Diddy's renowned parties have also gone into hiding. We're talking about some of the most recognized faces in Hollywood, music, and even sports. These aren't simply Diddy's business partners or distant friends. They're folks that are apparently deep in the mix, embracing the crazy lifestyle Diddy was renowned for. And now, as authorities look more into the charges against Diddy, these same celebrities are doing all they can to avoid being the next news. The FBI is apparently pouring through mounds of data, anything from phone records to witness testimonies, and according to sources, it's not looking good for the folks in Diddy's entourage. Some identities that have appeared include persons that are regarded to be squeaky clean, much like to Jakes. But the reality is, much like Jakes, these celebs were regular visitors at Diddy's elite gatherings, and the charges imply they weren't just there for the champagne and small conversation. Some reports indicate that they were very much engaged in the shadowy deals that went on behind closed doors.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in.
Now, you might be wondering, who else could possibly be implicated in all of this? Well, one name that keeps popping up is Cuba Gooding Jr. It's no secret that he's had his share of issues over the years, but his relationship to DI is now being looked at with a lot more care. Cuba was purportedly introduced to one of Diddy's insiders, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, during one of these notorious events. According to the complaint brought by Jones, Cuba was far from an innocent bystander. Jones believes that Cuba was not only present at these parties, but actually engaged in improper actions, an allegation that might place him in significant legal peril.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Another name that's been tossed into the equation is Prince Harry. Now, before you become too horrified, let's be clear. There's no allegation that Prince Harry was personally engaged in any misconduct. However, his name has popped up as someone who has been at several of Diddy's events. Remember, Diddy's impact stretched well beyond the entertainment business. He socialized with kings, politicians, and global elites. Prince Harry's tiny connection to Diddy stems from a charity event they both attended years ago. But the fact that his name is even being discussed in this context has some raising concerns. It simply goes to highlight how far-reaching this issue might possibly become. And then there's Young Miami, the rapper, and one of Diddy's previous lovers. She's been fairly public about her connection with Diddy in the past, but now her name is popping up in an altogether other way. According to speculations, Young Miami may have been engaged in smuggling specific things over state borders for Diddy, items that are now the focus of intensive scrutiny. Whether or not these claims carry any weight remains to be seen, but it's evident that everybody who had a strong relationship to Diddy is now being probed.
Government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being. They have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
They have to safeguard the safety of your well-being. The true tragedy here is that many of the persons involved undoubtedly felt they were untouchable. For years, Diddy has been viewed as one of the most successful and important personalities in music and business, someone who could open doors and make dreams come true. But now, it appears like his empire is falling and anybody linked with him is being pulled down along with him. The backlash has been rapid and severe, and it's just getting worse as the days go by. Take Diddy's present circumstances, for example. He's been refused bail, meaning he's kept behind bars until his trial. The media is buzzing with news about the circumstances he's experiencing. Apparently, it's a long cry from the opulent lifestyle he's accustomed to. There's rumors that he's being detained in a facility renowned for its rigorous restrictions and meager luxuries, which must be a shock to someone who's been living in luxury for decades. And the allegations against him, they're serious. So severe that he's facing at the potential of life in jail if he's convicted. This isn't simply a smack on the wrist or a fine. This is the type of legal problem that might terminate his career for good. Not only should he have apologized to Kathy in that video, he should have apologized to all the general public that he lied to. What's even more astounding is how swiftly Diddy's business is crumbling. His connections with large firms are crumbling left and right. Just a few months ago, Diddy was the face of big businesses like Revolt and Kyrock, and now those ties are in shreds. Even Hulu, which was supposedly working on a reality program with the Combs family, has pulled the plug. It seems like no one wants to be affiliated with Diddy anymore, and honestly, who can blame them?
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see. These are allegations.
Kids have like an hour left, so get extra comfortable, kids, because after that, y'all gotta go. It's a wrap for y'all, because this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all don't want to come to, okay? So, let's just start to get our groove on a little bit. In an hour, we put the kids away, it's all good. Hey, DJ, let's hit it. Let's do it. Come on. Okay, now.
So you see how Diddy is talking about taking the kids away, and the actual party starts after that. Word on the street is that most of the time, Beyonce and Jay-Z were left behind for the actual party.
Beyonce, I was at a party at Diddy crib in LA. This was the beginning of 2020. You know what I mean? And, Diddy had put everybody else out the crib, like the influx of people he had put them out. But he had took a liking to me in particular around the time, man. It was really, you know what I mean, like putting his arm around me.
Right.
So he had put majority of the people out, but he allowed me to stay in there. Me and, you know, maybe about 15 others, you know.
Right.
Jay-Z and Beyonce being, you know, 2 of the other 15 people in the room. So that'll just put it into perspective of the type of company I was in.
Right.
I was in right. Oh, guess what? Queen Bee was apparently also in those videos that were seized in Diddy's homes while hang. There's more to this Beyonce tale. So Jay's was supposedly observed meeting up with a criminal attorney and a divorce attorney. Now the criminal attorney, maybe because he has maybe been linked in the crimes that Diddy is being charged with. And the divorce attorney, well, honey, it appears like you all were correct one again. Jay-Z and Beyonce are apparently going for divorce, baby. And Nicki Minaj is also out here doing what other celebs are frightened of doing and calling out Jay-Z for being linked with Diddy. We're going to be requiring a fan right now, as even I can't handle all this heat. Okay, one thing I know is that Jay-Z has been trying his best to avoid Diddy since the lawsuits began rolling in. I mean, he even canceled his Grammy brunch party because of Diddy, because he did not know how to uninvite Diddy to the party. And since he couldn't simply say it to his face, and opted to cancel the party. Well, now people are saying that there's no way Beyonce and her husband could be close friends with someone for 2 decades, be business partners, attend their parties, know their family, have countless business ties, vacation together multiple times, knowing all their kids, and not be complicit or at least mildly aware of their illegal extracurricular activities. Are Beyonce and Jay-Z maintaining quiet about Diddy because everyone knows they're too close and knee-deep with him to pretend they don't know about his other unlawful actions? Did they indulge in unlawful extracurricular activities with Diddy? Well, sources have been indicating that Diddy has no intention of going down alone, and he has reportedly begun snitching. And based on sources, the next person we anticipate to follow suit is Jay-Z. What I know is that even before Diddy's cases were made public, there were interviews behind the scenes for approximately a year, and the things that were made public were not even half of what transpired. In Cassie's case, notably, Jay-Z and Beyonce were purportedly referenced in the initial complaint. The truth is, Cassie's complaint was originally 60 pages, but it was cut down to 35 pages. And if we already find the items on the 35 pages horrible, imagine what more was in there that had to be cut out. Clearly what they cut out was worse than what was left in the complaint and reportedly in the lawsuit. Cassie also named Jay-Z and Beyonce by talking about something that went place at one of Diddy's events. Reportedly what occurred at the party was that after Beyonce and Jay-Z observed Diddy smack Cassie across the base, Cassie went upstairs and locked herself in one of the bedrooms. Then Diddy's security hunted her down, and Cassie needed 30 minutes or more to pull herself together. Then, after Cassie was on her way back to the party, Beyonce and Jessica Alba were waiting in the entrance of the home to check on her. Cassie added that Beyonce was extremely agitated, and as Diddy and Jade were going towards them, Beyonce blew a gasket and shouted at Diddy, telling him that what he'd done was incredibly insulting and inappropriate. Apparently, Diddy went on his knees and apologized to Cassie, Beyonce, and Jessica. Based on rumors, Beyonce was really upset with Jay-Z, and she questioned him why he was soothing Diddy instead of monitoring him. And she apparently even informed Jay that she was beginning to lose respect for him. Then after that event, Beyonce, Cassie, Jessica, and approximately 20 to 25 others left the party after seeing what occurred or hearing about it. Apparently, Cassie fled with Jessica and her team because she knew that if she left with Beyonce, Diddy would follow her down because of the ties he had with Jay-Z. Cassie was also contacted the following day by law enforcement after the authorities came up to the residence the same night because neighbors phoned and claimed that there was pandemonium in the area. Someone from the party had phoned the police anonymously and reported what transpired because Diddy was apparently questioned about placing his hands on Cassie. But he denied everything and Cassie refused to cooperate or confirm what was said. Now, this specific party may not have been a freak-off party, but I have seen posts indicating that most of the freak-off parties took place after the public parties. And Diddy himself proposed this in this video that has been making rounds.
Kids have like an hour left. So get extra comfortable, kids, because after that, y'all gotta go. It's a wrap for y'all, because this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all don't want to come to, okay? So, you know, let's just start to get our groove on a little bit. In an hour, we put the kids away, it's all good. All right, DJ, let's hit it. Let's do it. Come on. Okay now.
The only reason why Beyonce left early was because she had observed what had happened to Cassie, and she was angry. But sources have alleged that she was also invited to additional freak-offs with Jay-Z, and they are apparently both on the cassettes that were found. But you know what? Jay-Z apparently has so much more to worry about other than being on the videos, because he is apparently also being questioned about his offenses. And that is why he was meeting up with the criminal counsel. And one of the offenses is the Kathy White incident that Diddy has supposedly previously snitched on. Now, of course, by now you know that Kathy White was Jay's lover who died suddenly the year Beyonce became pregnant with Blue, and she died shortly after conducting an interview about her connection with Jay-Z. So the allegation that Jay-Z and Kathy were dating was created when she and Claudia Jordan were caught together at Towel nightclub in Las Vegas, seated at a table with Jay-Z and Diddy in 2010, and Bey was not there. Apparently, reportedly, Jay-Z had been bashing Kathy behind Beyonce's back for longer before Jay and Beyonce had even been married. Now, because the romance was continuing, it was only a matter of time until fans found it out and Tabloid began reaching out to Kathy for tea. And 2 weeks before she went, Kathy was called by a large newspaper that was researching the Jay-Z link. She gave them little information to go on, but according to one of the sources, after her talk with the tabloid, she phoned Jay and informed him that she was willing to go public with their romance for a payment. Then just 48 hours after the revelation that Beyonce was pregnant with Jay-Z's kid, Kathy tragically deceased under strange circumstances. And the reason of death? A brain aneurysm. But here's the point, Kathy did not die from a brain aneurysm. According to an NYPD detective, Kathy's cause of death was ambiguous, and the investigator added that they had the autopsy and toxicology tests then to find out what truly happened to her. Here's what the investigator stated, quote, "A 911 call came in from an apartment on 130 West 19th Street in Manhattan. Ambulance arrived and took Kathy because she was unwell. They carried her to the Beth Israel Hospital, and that's where she died. It was too early to start speculating that an aneurysm took her. They will be undertaking an autopsy later today to check out her cause of death, although someone may have given Kathy a toxic medication. So they'll run a toxicological, and we'll have to wait 2 weeks for that result. Tell me why the cause of death was never disclosed and the issue was brushed under the rug." Well, it certainly had Jay-Z written all over it, and just as it's happening with Diddy, Jay-Z's misdeeds have begun coming up with him. That is why he was supposedly meeting with a criminal counsel. Also, dudes, in case y'all missed it, Nicki Minaj has also joined the discussion, and she has taken this whole issue up a level. Okay, y'all have undoubtedly seen how she has been exposing Jay-Z and Tidal for defrauding her and attempting to hush her with $1 million. Annika was putting the record straight regarding her position in Jay's sale of his music streaming business Tidal, alleging both he and Steve Stout are spreading falsehoods today. There's been a little amount of back and forth, but now Nicki is stating that Jay's is throwing heat her way to try to prevent people from talking about him and Diddy. As she literally stated on X, "They need to keep the attention on me so that no one wonders about these allegations against their BFF. I mean, it looks the 30-year-old T here is far from sale. Patterns, Yet, Sass, Ugly, Foreign, Stout, etc., all talking about Annika. Why are they talking about Annika?" In another tweet, Nicki also questioned whether Steve and Jay-Z knew about what was going on in Hollywood and if they participated, as she wrote, Dear Short and Stout Dick, Laffy Taffy Alien, Dikey Breath, SAS. We want to know if you were there during bleep of teenagers and children. That's what we want to know. Stop, Alia, Foxy, etc. during R. Kelly video shooting and things. Did you know about Kim Porter and Cassie? Y'all seem to constantly stumble into kinda rat pat. So that's what we the people want you and your pals to talk about. Ugly bald head, bullying ball bitch. You ninjas don't have this enthusiasm for criminals in person, only for bees on the internet. She also wrote in yet another tweet referencing her husband, worrying about the tea of a 15-year-old child who was railroaded, but no comments on the tea and baby oil that's been going on for decades and as recent as months ago. If 15-year-olds need to be held accountable and told they can't ever move past their past, then what about the 30-year-olds sat by and were silent, etc.? Oh yes, not the baby oil Mickey. OMG, hilarious. Dan, Onika is brazen. The Bobs better defend her since Nikki is getting a bit too near y'all. A touch too near. Anyway, when it comes to Jay-Z and Beyonce, folks are arguing that it's been common knowledge throughout the whole entire music business that Diddy was doing what he was doing, and Jay-Z and Beyonce obviously knew too. So they either opted to forsake fundamental values for Diddy's money and power, or they were partially engaged in the plots themselves. Followers are arguing that at the absolute least Beyonce could have separated herself from Diddy, never been spotted with him, or avoided his parties, but she didn't. Well, now we have stories saying that Beyonce was truly in the clip. And with everything going on, she's supposedly also gearing ready to make her breakup from Jay-Z public. Who knows, maybe this divorce may truly be the Pandora box we have all been waiting for when it comes to Jay-Z. Allegedly, this separation has a lot to do with Diddy, but I guess we are simply going to have to wait for further facts. Meanwhile, I would love to have your opinions on a couple subjects. Do you think Jay-Z will get caught up in Diddy's case? Do you think Beyonce and Jay-Z were involved in Diddy's crimes? And what are your opinions on, do you think Beyonce and Jay-Z were involved in Diddy's crimes? And what are your opinions on Jay-Z and Beyonce going toward a separation? Let me know in the comments section below.